through him tonight. Let's give him a huge welcome right now as he comes to share with us. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, mate. Hey, great to be here tonight and back with you and part of that credential. How cool is that? See all age groups getting involved there in ministry. Okay, we're part 2 of what we did this afternoon of 10 ways to build a leadership pipeline. If you weren't here this morning, let me recap. No, I'm not even going to bother. We're just going to jump straight in and boot this baby home and give you the rest of these 10 ways to build a leadership pipeline. And there is going to be a level of where some of you are going to feel, my goodness, there's so much, it's overwhelming. So utilize the book that I've written that you've got as part of your registration pack. I also have a video series that complements this, goes with this. If you want to know about that, just Google Grow a Healthy Church and you'll find me on page 1 of your Google search. Why do you laugh? It's true. On page 1, dominate number 1 position for Grow a Healthy Church in the globe. Check it out. Check out the hub resources there. You can get a video course that goes with this as well. So we finished up point 4. We're going to go to point 10. So for those of you who are wanting to count down, know that we will finish by midnight. Well and truly before midnight. I want to get to bed too. So we're going to jump into point 5. We talked, point 4 was about having a recruitment campaign, and point 5 is how to maximize a recruitment campaign. And I brought my special finger again tonight. Try cooling down fire with it as well. No, I won't bother. If you missed that URL this morning, that takes you to a blog post of mine where you can get the volunteer opportunity template there. That's just a download for free. Give me your email address and I'm happy to give you plenty of freebies as well. Heaps of freebies on my website as well. Heaps of blog posts and all sorts of really brilliant information. You can tell I'm confident. I heard Phil Pringle say many years ago, I'm not arrogant, I'm just confident. You've got to believe in what you do. Anyway, and if you can't find anything, just hook me up on Facebook or my phone number and happy to help you in any way I can. When you're recruiting, there's 2 ways to recruit. One is to recruit to a department. And I would encourage you to recruit in 3 main areas at the moment as you come out of COVID. Recruit to your team up here, your worship team. Recruit to your children's ministry and recruit to small group leaders. They're the 2 big areas of your church. And I know some pundits are declaring that it's a reformation, everything is going to change in church life. I don't buy into that. I think people will still gather on Sundays and people will gather in groups. They'll gather in rows and they'll gather in circles until Jesus comes back. We've been doing it for millennia. We will keep doing it till the Lord comes back. So recruit into those 3 departments specifically. And you can recruit to a department, but when you recruit to a department, it feels like you're asking people to come to who you are and to what you want. So there's another way to recruit. You are hot tonight, bro. Thank you so much. I've got the clicker, so you help me out. Recruit according to a skill set. And this is something that's on the volunteer opportunity template that you can get from my website. And there's a whole range of different skill sets that you can recruit to. You recruit to being creative. So one aspect that I like to recruit to, and this is about the way you're wired, not what my need is. So if you're a photographer, a writer, an artist, drama, dance, any aspect of art, painting, whatever, you're creative in any way, then we're going to aim at you in a recruitment campaign that we want you involved in some creative area in the life of the church. Who here thinks that you're a creative type person? You've got some ability around creative. Andy, you've got to put your arm up, please, seriously. I mean, singing that, you can't sit there and go, well, I'm not quite sure yet if I can sing and carry something. Who's a creative here tonight? Come on, give me a wave. Come on. Some of you would just want to get up and dance, don't you? You want to do something and thank you, don't. Second one, details. Some of you are, we talked about this afternoon, some of you are list people. Even now you're thinking of a spreadsheet of how you can make all these notes into a spreadsheet. You love Excel. You love ticking lists off. Yeah, look, they got their hands up already. They're like all over the details. I'm a detail person. And it doesn't matter. See, you're not recruiting them to a department. You're recruiting them to a task they love. So they're more likely to lean into an area because you need detailed people working with the creatives because, you know, sometimes they... Friendly people, these are people you want on your door who have got a big smile. They're sanguine. They kind of love a little bit of a party vibe. They're not, here we go. They're up and about already. Come on, where's the extroverts? Come on. There we go, on his feet already. Look, he's doing a cartwheel down the back of the church. I love it. And you want cartwheels in your foyer. It just adds something to your service. You can have them going across the front here. Friendly people, people who just warm up. Great at hospitality. Put friendly people in your hospitality area. People who love to serve real coffee and who get anything labelled international roast and send it back to hell where it came from. My mum and dad used to love international roast, dear Lord. Connectors. These are great small group leaders. People who kind of link people together. People, when they meet a visitor, connect them to someone new, not new in the church, someone already established, they think they'll get on with and kind of link with. People who kind of happy to kind of hang around and form groups. And you've got people in your church who are just great small group leaders. They're connectors. They kind of glue people together. And last one is all heart. These are the carers. These are the pastoral care people. These are people who are interested in communities. How do we help poor people, damaged people? There we go, we're over there. Ooh, come on. Hey, yeah. I was talking this afternoon with, I can't remember your name, sorry. Kelly. Talking to Kelly about what she's doing. Amazing stuff with volunteers, getting them into the church. So here's 5 skill sets. So you can preach about this. People love, who's kind of the all heart people? Who are the, Kelly will lead the charge here. Who's a connector? Who loves kind of getting people together and you kind of link them all? Yeah, you kind of know who you are. You kind of not always extrovert. And you kind of, you can teach this through a couple of weeks in your church. People love it because we all love hearing about who we are. And when it resonates, and then you say, hey, we need connectors in the life of our church. Well, actually, I could do that. I'm not sure what it is that they want me to do, but I lean into it because you're talking their language and you're not just talking about, hey, we need people in kids' church. Because then people go, I don't want to do that, but okay. You want a friendly face at the door, so when parents come drop their kids off, you just smile there and greet the parents and greet mum. Oh yeah, I can do that. Okay, you're a kids worker. You're into it. We get you there because you're leaning into your gift. Set up a first serve is again maximising a recruitment campaign. Your volunteer director. Let me say something also about the volunteer director. The volunteer director is not responsible for the recruitment of everybody into every department. If you do that to a volunteer director, they'll burn out real quick. Recruitment should be the responsibility of each department leader. You put that on a volunteer director, they will not do the job. They don't like it. They won't want it. And also they won't have the passion for the department that a department leader will have. But they can kind of keep an eye on where people are going as well. But your volunteer director can set up the first serve. So someone who says, you know what, I don't want to sign up for 12 months, but I'll give something a go. I'll take something for a test drive. I'll be a greeter for a couple of Sundays or one Sunday and see if I like it. Volunteer director sets it up. They have a go at greeting. They're a friendly person. They kind of like it. They're an extrovert. They're doing cartwheels across the foyer. It's disruptive, but it's fun. It's all good. And you talk to them afterwards and have a chat with them and say, wow, I really enjoyed that. Well, okay, cool. Would you like to kind of go on just a roster for a few months? Yeah, I'm into it. Put me on a couple of times a month. I'm just liking it. So they may say, no, I hated it. Okay, would you like to try making some non-international roast coffees for after church? Yeah, okay, I'll give that a go because that might work for me. Again, you're following up. That's where your volunteer director follows up. All your first serves, make sure people are well placed. Yep, follow up. Already did it. Induction, this is huge. And this can now be brilliant because pastors are so used to looking at cameras. So induction is a retention key. If you want to keep people in volunteering, you're on-ramping from someone who's not serving into serving in a role is crucial for retention, or moving someone from one department into another department. This is crucial also to keep them into that area. Let me talk about a couple of areas of induction. One is generic, and then there's an area that is specific. So let me talk about the generic area. You want to give everyone coming into serving into a role from non-serving into serving. You want them exposed to your values of serving, but you only want 2 or 3. You don't give people a list of 10 values. It's overwhelming. Give them 2 or 3. might be, hey, we want serving to be happy. We want everyone to smile. And we just would like you to be punctual. There you go. 2 brilliant values for serving. They're our values. And expectations. Here's a few things that we want you to be as a server. Now, Pastor, because you're so used to looking at a camera the last 2 years, don't hold classes to do this. Create some short videos. Here's our values about serving. Videos that go for about 3 or 4 minutes. And you can do 2 or 3 of them for values, 2 or 3 of them for expectations. Someone signs up to do serving. You say, great, let's do some induction. No classroom. You don't have to turn up to anything. You can watch this stuff on the train as you go to work. Is that good? It's brilliant. Oh, okay. I think it's brilliant. That way you can induct people as they come in. You don't have to wait to gather them. You don't have to gather them into a group or a classroom. And here's our 25 values of serving and our 55 expectations, and people are bored, spitless, and never come back to do anything. You just say, here's our YouTube clips. Just watch them. And we've stripped the audio off. We have a podcast. So if you prefer just to listen, you can listen to the podcast. Then you catch up with them afterwards and unpack it and chat them through with it. Because you're so used to looking at a camera, Pastor, do this. It's not hard. You've already got the processes. You've already got the lighting, the video, the editing, got it all worked out. Let's go next one. Specific. People need induction specifically in terms of a mentor, and that's probably too big a word. Just someone that they can be a shadow with for a while. That maybe they're working in the media production, maybe in kids, youth, worship team, greeting, whatever, small group. Put them as someone's shadow for a little while. Let someone mentor and coach them and help them along and hold their hand for a little while. And then also, again, give them specific skills around this. And again, put all this on video. Not the mentoring, you can't do that on video, but the skills. Get your children's leader to sit in front of a camera and do little 3-4 minute lessons on how to control a crowd, how to tell a story, how to lead a child to Jesus, how to lead an older child to water baptism, how to get a child filled with the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Because once you do those videos, they're good for about 2 or 3 years. Then you might grow a beard, you've got to freshen them up. You might lose some hair, you've got to freshen them up. Maybe you don't want to freshen them up if you lose hair. But you put all this stuff on video, strip the audio, you make a podcast of it, and then people can access it because you know what they're used to? Accessing it when they want to, not when you want to. And it just helps smooth the process. What you're doing with all this, some of you are feeling really overwhelmed with this at the moment, but this is kind of like a 1 or 2 year journey of unpacking this stuff. Don't feel like you've got to get home and get it all done. But what you're doing is you're lowering all the friction and the barriers for people to come into serving and love it. And if you get people into a place where they're inducted well, they feel more confident. And it's a fascinating thing. I actually think confidence helps build and grow a healthy church. If you have a room full of anxious people, you can all feel it, can't you? When fear is in the room, everyone tenses up, everyone kind of just pulls back. They feel restricted. They don't want to do anything out of place. But when you have confident people in the room, the whole atmosphere, the vibe is we can do stuff. We can have a go at something. We're going to achieve something. We're going to build something here for the glory of God. So more induction you can do, the better. Okay, develop an annual recruitment drive plan is next steps, and there's lots of stuff in the book and also on my website about this. I've got long blog posts about this as well. You can read. Number 6, we're burning through this. Understand the training needs of the different people that you have in your whole serving community. Remember the 5 Ds we talked about this afternoon? Do nothings, the doers, delegators, designers, dreamers. I want to talk to you about the training needs of these individual people. First, the doers. The doers need training about the skills that are relevant to the task they're doing, whether it's children's work, worship, greeting, small group, whatever. They also need training around healthy attitudes. People actually need to be trained to have a good attitude. The fruit of the Spirit, really, isn't it? And then vision connect. And you can train all of your people around these areas of healthy attitudes and Vision Connect. They're the things you want to train people in and keep feeding into them. How to have a brilliant attitude, how to connect to the why of why we're doing what we're doing. Let's have a look at the training needs of the delegators, those who lead teams. Well, they need exactly the same. If you're leading a team, you need skills, you need healthy attitudes, Vision Connect, exactly the same. But you need one other area of training, and every team leader in your church and every actually department leader needs this one area of training: delegation. How to empower people, how to release people, how to bring people into a place where they're outcomes focused, not process focused. I think we touched on this a bit this afternoon, but I think this is one of the huge challenges in organizations, church and in the marketplace as well, of people learning how to be brilliant delegators. And I would say, Pastor, this would be one of the things that if you're going to take something away from this conference that I've given you, I would highlight this as one of the major areas of training to put into your church. How to be an empowerer, how to be a delegator, how to just hands off, train people and then release, and let them get on with it. And the more you do that, the more people will flourish, and the more you'll flourish because you'll see people start to rise to a level. Training needs now for the designers, people who lead departments. Again, they need exactly the same: relevant skills, healthy attitudes, Vision Connect, and there's two things you need to train department leaders in: how to solve complex problems. As soon as you're running a department, things get bad, things get messy, things get complicated, things get difficult, they get challenging. So pastors, train your department leaders in how to solve complex problems and how to design systems, how to design processes and pathways. I love the book of Proverbs, and one of the main things of the book of Proverbs is the whole issue of what path are you walking. The word path or the word way appears again and again and again through the Proverbs, and training department leaders how to design a pathway for people to walk down, how to design a system that works. And it's something, these are actually two areas with department leaders you have to keep coming back to again and again and again, because church is getting more complicated. I think I said to the crew, was it yesterday? No, I think I was in another conference earlier in the week up on the Gold Coast. I said it there. It'd be a lot easier to be a vicar in the 16th century of England than to be pastoring a church now. Because in the 16th century of England, you're going to die at 40 anyway. You're basically going to bless babies as they're born, you're going to marry people, and then you're going to bury them, and you're going to live in a village, you're not going to go anywhere, there's no good government compliance, you just have to preach every Sunday and visit everybody, and you're probably going to be a fat vicar because you're going to visit everybody and have scones and tea all through the week, and you're going to have a good life. It'll be a short one, but it'll be a good one. But here we are in the 21st century, it's complicated, it's challenging, it's compliance and all sorts of things. There's some parts of me every now and again, so Lord, I was born in the wrong century. I wish I'd been born then. I would have been dead by now and in heaven. Would have been less pressure. Anyway, I have weird thoughts every now and again. You know that after 2 days with me anyway, don't you? Here we go. Leaders build pipelines. That slide keeps popping up. Why is that? Leaders build pipelines. Pipelines will give you great fruit. Next steps, outline some training topics with your team. Sit down with your department leaders and plan 2 years worth of training. How can we train some healthy attitudes? What about Vision Connect? What about the skills that people need? What about delegation? How do we train our people in delegation or solving complex problems? And I think, have I got another one there? Oh, yes, I have. Glad I remember this stuff. Delegate topic development. Don't do it all yourself, Pastor. Find someone in your church. You may have some good people in your church or in the marketplace who already do training, who already have skills around delegation. Hunt them down. Get them to train everybody how to delegate. They may even train you in some skills that you weren't aware of. Find people in your church. Again, pray, the Lord of the harvest, Lord, give me laborers. Give me people who help me train. Ring up Chris Carmody and say, what's Revival College got on delegation? He's probably got a master's in delegation that you can do through Chris Carmody. 5 years of training in how to empower people. 27 essays to write of 4,000 words each, all due by Monday night. Chris is now texting one of his staff. We need a course on empowerment and delegation. He's already there. He's already thinking this through. Here we go. Sorry, got a bit stuck. Number 7, 3 types of meetings that you should run with your people serving and volunteering. And this is I've had a number of shocks going from 30 years of pastoring into consulting the last 10 years. And one of the things that shocked me is how often pastors didn't meet with their key people. I found it quite confronting, because it's something that just has been the culture of our church for decades. From our founding pastor, Dr. Frank Holgren, founded our church, led it for 16 years, I led it for 20 years, and it was just part of the culture of our church. And I got into a lot of churches and thought, when did you meet with your children's leader last? I see him every Sunday and have a chat. Good. But when did you sit down and have a formalized sort of meeting? You haven't, have you? Can you go home now? Nasty consultant. 3 types of meetings. Here we go. Personal supervision. Meet with your delegators, your department leaders. Meet with them every 4 to 8 weeks. And it will vary according to the size of your church, whether they're on staff or not. But your worship director, I wouldn't care what size my church is. I would have one-on-one with my worship director every 4 weeks for an hour. And it would be very formal and very specific and very intentional. Because wherever you're pastoring, never let your worship director get very far from you. It's not because they're bad or they're evil. You're thinking bad thoughts out there, aren't you? It's just, they're a huge part of what your church does. Same with my kids director. I'm not letting them out of my sight, because they're a huge part, because people will put up with your preaching, my preaching, if their kids are happy. They'll come in and go, oh, here we go, John again. Man. Kids come out of kids just going, oh, that was awesome, Dad. We had a great time. We got lollies and just fun. Looks like we're staying. It's true, isn't it? So true. What parents will do for kids, they will suffer for their children, for their youth. We found an interesting thing going on Jason was telling me in our church that parents, when their kids got to 18, 19, the parents started to leave our church. Different ones. And Jason drilled down into it and discovered the reason they stayed in our church was the youth ministry. When the kids got past the youth ministry, I was like, I think I'm going to try something else. I thought, wow. So I'm not going to let my kids director get too far from me. I'm going to have time with them. And here's what I'm going to do in that meeting. I'm going to talk about goals update. What outcomes are we focused on? Whether you call them goals or outcomes, objectives. What are we trying to achieve? What ministry activities are you working on? And how can I help you solve your problems? Every department leader in your church, pastor, is longing to sit with you every single month and have that discussion. Make it a priority. Put it in your diary. Don't cancel that meeting. Meet with them, and often they're volunteers, so you've got to do it at different hours and so on. You could do it after church on a Sunday, do it over at lunch or whatever, but do it because it'll bear you massive fruit. And to me, I just think it's an act of love, of supporting your department leaders. Second type of meeting is a team meeting. This is meeting and pulling together. Every couple of months or so, you can work out the length of time, but pulling together your worship leader, your kids leader, your volunteers director, maybe your visitors director, anyway, people who are leading parts. Pull them together every couple of months, have some food and do some stuff. I'll tell you what, we'll do it in a meeting, but just get together and build that team sort of vibe. And just do it. Do it year in, year out. Sometimes it'll be kind of feel, here we go again. But I reckon most of pastoring is just ordinarily mundane, almost boringly doing the same things that over the decades build a healthy church. And it's just kind of staying with the stuff. Because I don't know about you. To me, it's like my personal devotional life. I read the Bible, but I tell you what, some days it's as boring as spit. I mean, now some of you are offended, but I'm telling you the truth. Some days I'll get up and read my Bible and go, I have this thing about Isaiah. Isaiah is full of Tim Tams. It's delicious, Isaiah 53. But there's an awful lot in there about Edom and Moab. And the guy needed a good editor, honestly, Bill. He just needed and I'm some mornings I'm getting up and I'm going, I'm back to Isaiah. Now, some people avoid this. They just read Psalms and Philippians all the time. No, I don't. I'm reading the whole Bible, baby. I'm getting the whole thing. And pastoring is exactly like that. You just keep doing the major things. And I love that saying, we overestimate what we can do in 2 years, underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And you build it year after year after year. How long have you been pastoring your church, Dan? 20 years. Bill's about 44 years pastoring. You want to build something that lasts for legacy? My wife's been in our church 53 years this year. Johnny come lately. I've only been there 48 years. We have a combined 100 years in our church. You stick at something, you build something. Anyway, I'll start preaching. All in. This is getting everybody together. Get everyone who does something together at least once a quarter, maybe 3 times a year. Get them all together. What are you going to do in that all-in meeting, team meeting? Let me show you. It's getting tired. It's been working hard today. You're going to have food. You're going to have good news. You're going to interview a few people. You're going to ask people to bring some stories. Don't stand before a crowd and say, who's got a good news story, unless you know who's coming out to tell one. It's like a lawyer. Don't ask a question unless you know the answer. You set it all up. You get it all happening. You say, hey, come up here, Joel. I heard you had a great thing happening in youth. And Joel knows he's ready. He comes up. You hold the mic. You don't let the youth pastor loose with the mic in the leaders meeting. Yeah, Joel, it's awesome, mate. High five, bang. You build that vibe. What's the next one I've got up there? Inside info. Oh, no, go back. That's awesome. Brilliant. Everyone likes to be in a club. There's something about exclusivity. God is into exclusivity. Everyone can come to the cross, but then Jesus says, you 12, you're hanging with me. And actually, I'm heading up that mountain, and we're going to meet a couple of dead blokes up there. Is that a train? Thinking, is that the Archangel? Are we going up tonight, or? I'm not used to hearing a train when I preach, it's just, you're used to it, aren't you? You're kind of, there it goes. Not used to that. What on earth was I talking about? Oh, insider, yeah. 2 dead people, Moses and Elijah. And Jesus said, what did he say? You can all come up? No. He said, you 3. James and I'll have you. Exclusive. God does exclusive. Interesting. The people who are bearing the burden in your church are your servers. So give them inside information. Make them feel like they're on the inside. Tell them things that at a level that you don't announce to your church. You might give your church the 1-minute ad. Give your people the 5-7 minute backstory. And they'll lean in towards you. Because we all like it. We all kind of like, wow, I kind of feel like I'm in the know. We like being in the know. I think it's a God-given thing, actually. Because we like tribes. God built tribes, clans, families. We want to be in a family. We want to be in a group that we own it. Share that. Prayer. Have prayer. Like, that was awesome tonight. How good was that? People were coming out and giving prophetic words and praying and love. Bill, where's Bill? Your wife. Is that your wife? What's your wife's name? Ree. You look so happy. You look at it again. You light up the room. You're one of those friendly, you've got to be on the door. You are. Look at your smile. She lights up the room. It's awesome. You're standing there beaming. Just, wow, this is awesome. It is so good. People are praying for each other and God's touching people and people are getting words. Oh, so good. I've missed conferences. Have some prayer. Pray for each other. Just like that tonight. That was a great modeling. And last one, train. Just a little bit late. Yeah, just if I hadn't talked so. Oh dear me. Is it close to midnight yet? It's feeling like it's getting out of control here. Don't teach. Don't teach. Don't teach. Don't teach. Train. So when you train, and what I've been doing today is teaching. This isn't training. When you train, people get hands in, hands on, hands involved. They get into the weeds of the thing. And this is harder to do. It's easy to teach, hard to train. And you have to push yourself harder. That's why these meetings need a lot of work and a lot of energy and a lot of thought to go into. And it'll push you harder past to design these meetings. But when people get trained, they take something home they'll use. When they get taught, you're just not sure. And I've got other stuff on training, but I haven't got time. So here's a couple of things. Don't sing. This is gonna get me run out of town. I don't like leaders meet. This is me personally. You do what you like, but I'm right. No, I'm not. This is me personally, but we wouldn't sing in our leaders meetings. People would come in, we'd have some music playing, we'd have food, never international roast, dear Jesus. Coffee, aromas, and people would linger for 15, 20 minutes drinking coffee and food because they've been working all day and they're just kind of chilling and hanging, whether you got an all-in meeting or a team meeting, they're getting some food and everything. And then we go straight to good news. So there's already a bit of a vibe in the room. And then people start telling stories and people go, oh, it's awesome. Then a bit of insider information. And then a little bit of prayer. And then we're going to do some training. We're going to send them home after an hour and a quarter, hour and a half. And I think if you run a leaders meeting like a Sunday service, people will drop off from it. Because there's no difference. You sing and then you preach. Now, I know that sometimes this can be heretical. People think, no, you should have worship. But I just personally think you need a distinctive meeting that people go, wow, it's going to be different. I'm not sure everything that's going to go on, but I know it'll be good. And I know I'm going to take something home. So next one, don't preach. Don't preach. Train. Train. Slow the meeting down. Break people up into groups. Send the kids leaders off. Do some training. Youth leaders, worship leaders. Get them off and doing some training. Push your departments a little bit harder to come up with something that's innovative and creative and a little bit of an edgy and excitement. It only has to be 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It's better if people go home early. And I found with these meetings in our church, we've run them for decades, people would just hang around afterwards because of the feeling. The feeling was, gee, we're in it together. And I just learned something tonight, and this is going to be helpful, and I just feel better for being here. Stuff has dropped off from my day because I was here. Anyway, there you go. Next steps. Analyze your current meetings with your team and just see what you can rework. Book and plan some meetings. That's a good idea. Number 8, we're getting close to the end. How to retain volunteers. Just got a few ideas on this one. Retaining people. Retention is easier than recruitment. It's easier to keep people than get new people. So work hard on retention. A few ideas about retention. Keep the why front and center. Pastor, hunt down stories of what God is doing in your church. Tell those stories and use this phrase. And that's why we do what we do. Memorize that phrase. Be a storyteller. That's why we do what we do. And people go, yeah, it's true. Tell stories about the kid getting saved in kids' church or the youth person. Well, it's Kelly, isn't it? Was telling me today about volunteers. They've got volunteers working in a community-orientated program who come to help do the church's community orientation outreach sort of thing, who are now getting saved and coming to church. I'm like, whoa, thought, gee, I haven't heard of other churches doing that. Man, you're in Matt's church? Yep. I'd be telling that story every third week. I just would be telling my church what's going on, and that's why we do what we do, and this awesome, and Kelly's a hero and champion, and awesome, I buy a $200 gift for Kelly. My goodness, that'd be... Oh, hello, here we go. Oof. Quick, get on to the next one. Celebrate achievement. $200 gift. There we go, we're on the next one. Focus on outcomes more than style. Let people have their own personality and their vibe. And this is a key of delegation empowerment. Let people do it their own way, as long as the outcome is ethical, moral, and legal and what you agreed on. As long as you nail that, let people have their own way to do it. You know, Matt's got a great style up here. Kind of got a cool style, the way he plays and sings a bit, and just touch of God and an anointing. And I know you're pastoring. If I was Matt's pastor, mate, just keep carving it up, because I'm getting the outcome I want. I don't know what you're doing behind the scenes, but if I'm getting the outcome, I'm a happy pastor. That's all I need to know, and just keep thanking and appreciating. A few ideas there. Establish a volunteer of the month. Now, if you want to, in fact, I would do this, pastoring post-COVID, I would do this without hesitation, is every single month, because you want to heat the value up of serving, I would have a volunteer or volunteers of the month. And I would keep a good record of this. We do this in our church. We keep a really good record of it. We used to have volunteers of the year. We had this kind of amazing sort of things going on, but too much detail on that won't help you. But every month, first Sunday of the month or something, bring out 3 of your volunteers, give them a bar of chocolate each or a bunch of flowers or just some little gift, and appreciate them, and just get one to do a little story and say, that's why we do what we do. Isn't it great serving in the house? You don't have to recruit then, you're just celebrating. And people get the culture and you heat it up. In fact, if you want to go nuts on this, do it every week for 2 months. And people who are doing nothing will start to go, maybe I should get involved. I like chocolate, flowers. My pastor, a leader of our movement, Pastor Phil Pringle, says, whatever you platform will grow. If you keep putting up people who are unsung heroes, the Tituses of your church, who are serving, and you celebrate them, and you know, you can do it in a way that Australians are okay with, then people eventually get the idea that what you value is serving. Yeah, you could get all of the youth leaders up at once and kind of give them all, I don't know, some weird sort of chocolate or something, or some metaverse chocolate. TikTok chocolate. Is there TikTok chocolate? Yeah, TikTok chocolate. You just have fun with the whole thing. If you did it, I guarantee, if you did it every Sunday for 2 months, that value of serving would start to heat up in your church. It'll just bubble. Awesome. Ooh, I almost feel like I want to pastor again. No, not that much. How to develop emerging leaders. I love this idea. I'm looking at you, Phil Tong. Been working with Phil for a couple of years, and he's switched on in this area. You're doing a great job with this, mate. You are, seriously. You and Leanne, Ballarat, Cheyenne. I said it wrong, didn't I? Cheyenne. We had a Thai meal in Ballarat 5-6 weeks ago. How good was that? Nice. Did you learn anything? Did you? Okay. Yeah, me too. Found a nice Thai restaurant, met a young man who's going places. What a great... He raised in your church, you guys mentored him and then exported him. I love that. How good is that? How good is that? Give away your best. Fabulous. Well done. So exciting. It's good to be here tonight to see you kind of get done. Credentialed. I'm starting to get tired, I think. I can keep moving. How to develop emerging leaders. Real simple idea that I think every pastor should do every year in one way or another. Lead an emerging leaders group. And it can be also established leaders. It doesn't need to be emerging leaders. Here's how to do it. Really simple, easy to do. Invite 5 or 9 people, personal invitation only. 9 would be the max. I think probably maybe 7, 8 would be the sort of max there. Invite 5 or 9 people. to come and meet with you, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks, or you might want to do it every week for 8 weeks, or every 2 weeks for 4 months, whatever. The variety and the length, you can mix it up year on year. 1 year you could do it every month for 10 months. 1 year you could do it kind of like 8 weeks in a row. You just mix it all up, the timing, but pick a time, put a sunset clause on it. Don't start a development group without a sunset clause. Let people know it's going to finish. People will lean to it far easier if they know that. I love doing these in our church. Pre-read and discuss a book. Basically, it's a book club. Pastor, just get a book that you love, that you enjoy, that you know if you browse through it again, you'll love it, you'll pick it up, you go, wow. Get everybody to pre-read it, come ready to discuss the group, and this is what you're going to do in the group. Oh, go back. Actually, go forward. Go forward. Yeah. Great, you're going to eat and drink. You can tell I like eating and drinking. No international roast, you're going to have nice coffee, you're going to have nice food. And you're going to ask everyone around the group, just go back one, sorry. You're going to ask everyone in the group, what did you learn from what did you read, and what did you do different through what you read? So it's easy for you, Pastor, no content preparation. You just got to cruise through the book, got it, few questions. If you buy a book with a study guide in it, questions are already done. How simple is this? And you just got to have nice coffee and nice food and ready to challenge everybody and encourage them and then have some prayer together. And at the end of the meeting, you ask them, what are you going to do in the next, between now and the next meeting with what we've done tonight? What else are you going to do? You get someone to record that commitment. And this is when you get really nasty, Pastor. The next meeting, you bring those commitments out and you go around the group and say, how'd you go with that? And that's when people start dropping out. That's when people start, I forgot. That's where you discover the level they have. If you discover that, you can take them onward. You got the guy who always comes late. Oh, yeah. I have this theory that I think punctuality is one of the biggest tests of character. That you can tell a lot about a person who's always late. There's something there. But if they're always late, I go, awesome. Because they're in a development group now, so now I can develop them. I have a special set of skills. Call to action, pray together. It'll bind your hearts with them. This is good stuff, isn't it, Phil? You've loved doing this. Come on, Phil, yell it out. Help me out here. He's not giving me anything, is he? He's just nodding his head. Tough man. Yeah, thank you, Leanne. I have helped so many pastors just launch simple book clubs like this, and have said this is just one of the best things I do in pastoring, because you're working with people who are leaning in towards you. Last one. Here we go. We're almost done. It's only 11:15. Number 10, how to turn leaders into staff. I'll just give you one thing here. Great protocols. I'll read a scripture to you that I heard someone unpack this some years ago. I just love it. Philippians 2:25. I think it's necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, my brother, my co-worker, and my fellow soldier. When you move someone from a voluntary role into a staff role, your relationship changes because you become their boss. You still are their leader, their pastor, their shepherd, but you switch, and then you come into connection with a whole bundle of industrial relations laws, and you do become their boss. And one of the keys, I think, of moving someone from a volunteer role into a staff role in a way that positions them well and positions you well in your role as their boss is to unpack this scripture with them and explain it to them, and even to keep a few hats in your office. Because these are 3 roles that you have, I believe, between a pastor and their staff, or a staff department pastor who's got staff under them. 3 roles. Brother, so I call this the baseball cap role. This is the family role. Even though you're an employee and I'm the boss, we're family. We're joined by the blood of Jesus. And this is what makes the church workplace the weirdest place to work on the planet, because you're the boss, they're an employee, but you are blood covenant brothers and sisters. And it just gets a bit funky and a bit weird because, people can think that's the primary relationship we have in the workplace is we got the baseball cap on and we're brother and sister. It ain't the primary relationship in the workplace. There are two other primary relationships that must take precedence while you still have the baseball cap there. The second cap, co-worker, is the hard hat, construction hat. Is that, hey, we've got a job to do. We need to labour. We need to work. We can't be lazy. We've got to work smart. We've got to work hard. We've got to bend our back. We have to put our hand to the plough because we are doing the greatest work on the planet to bring souls into the kingdom of God. And we're going to join together and we're going to plough those fields together. We're going to reap a harvest together, but you're going to bend your back with me. And every now and again, Pastor, with your staff, don't always keep your baseball cap on and keep it all nice and lovely and caring and so on. Every now and again, put your hard hat on and say, there's a job to be done. Let's get the job done. And when someone who's a staff member keeps turning up without getting the work done that they agreed to get done, you have to put the hard hat on and say, I don't know if this can last. But Pastor, we're family. No, you got the wrong hat on. Get the baseball cap off, put the hard hat on. We're talking work right now. Never use the wrong hat in a conversation when you're a staff member. Keep your right hat on. And sometimes, even with staff, I would teach staff this. And I would say, into my office, we're going to have a chat. Just got my hard hat on. They'd start to sweat. I was sweating already. Just have a hard conversation. I remember one of the greatest guys on our staff ever grew up in our church. I remember him, he hates me telling this story. I remember him as a baby, as a 2-year-old toddler in pajamas under the pews on a Sunday night service. Grew up in our church, brilliant musician, brilliant administrator, came onto our staff, was awesome. Then one year he had the worst year, just lazy. Didn't work. Go through his review. I said to him, Stephen, I love you, but you have another year like this, you're not going to be here. He said, oh, thank you so much, John. No, he didn't. He goes, And he switched, had a brilliant year, brilliant staff member. He always remembers that conversation. Actually thanks me for it because I was honest with him. Didn't just try to keep a baseball hat on. The third hat, I love this hat, fellow soldier. This is the army hat, the military hat. This is the battle hat. Come on, we're going to take some territory. There's a war on, let's fight together. And just learn to swap those protocols, those hats around. Use that little verse there, Philippians 2:25. Train your staff. When you bring a volunteer on the staff, train them how to operate with you in a way that doesn't take you for granted and they don't just kind of think they can get away with anything because we're brothers and sisters and family. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Not one of my proverbs, I wish I'd written it. But I'd encourage you, take the book away. If you want some video resources, go to my website, have a look at the hub. I've got a whole video course with all this material on it in audio and video, PowerPoint slides, the whole thing that you can jump into as well. And I encourage you to take it away and do a great thing to keep building the Church of Jesus. Amen. Thanks, Andrew.